Hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate Rollercoaster of Hope. Really excited about this book launch. My name is Amit Doshi, and I want to welcome you all here on behalf of Westland Publishing, home to some of India's best storytelling voices. This book is about two entrepreneurs, or rather, entrepreneurs, who basically thorough risk takers who have lived through uncertainty and chosen to share that journey with all of us. We're honored also to have some truly exceptional people here to celebrate this occasion. We have Mr. Jay Malpani with us. We have Mr. Vishal Kamath with us, Mr. Ketan Mehta and Ms. Deepa Sahi, and of course our authors, Dimant Bakshi and Mayuresh Kore. So, okay, if you guys can join us on the stage right now, and we can call everybody else up to start the launch. Yeah, come. Yeah, so they're right there. Yes, I think, yes. So that, so, yeah, let's show them the cover. Jay, I think you wanted to say a few words about the book.
Thank you. It is my privilege and honor to be speaking here and celebrating Mayuresh and Dhimant here today. And a big congratulations to both of them for this roller coaster of a journey. Dhimant and Mayuresh have been the stars of Imagicaa, and we in fact have an attraction at Imagicaa called House of Stars. So these truly are the two stars of Imagicaa itself. And I'm glad we are celebrating both of them and their families here today. The book kind of talks about the entire journey of how the whole story went, and we are probably the last leg of the book when the transaction actually took place. But that itself was a 3-year journey, so I'm sure the overall journey of theirs with the whole book has been truly a long one. I have seen this journey up close because we started talking just before COVID, and when the company was going through a downturn, COVID came, a lot of tough time came, and holding the fort together of the not only the business, but the teams, more importantly, the spirit of the teams, their families, as well as the guest experience is something which is extremely hard to do, especially when you're just independently managing the entire business on your own at that point in time. And both these guys have done a phenomenal job of holding the fort together and sailing through the journey. If it weren't for both of them, I don't think the transaction would have taken place, because the kind of stakeholder management, be it the bankers, be it the investment advisors, be it the banks, be it us, be it the hotel guys and the promoters themselves, managing all these stakeholders is something which is extremely hard to do, especially in a difficult time. And pushing through that was incredible. It is entirely their grit and perseverance because of which this has happened. Initially, we had met them, we used to wonder, why are Dhimant and Mayuresh running around solving for the transaction when the promoter is there? And we kept wondering what is in it for them. But as the progression happened, as we spoke for almost 3 years, we understood that it is their passion and love for the company because of which they are pushing for it. And the kind of things they have done for this, which is there in the book, the kind of indemnities and other things which was there, something which no one can practically think of doing, which they have truly done. Demon got the handover of Imagicaa just 7 days prior to when it became NPA. And dealing with that head on is something which is not for everyone, and I don't think a lot of people can do it as well with the way he has done it, and with integrity as well as in a very ethical manner. And we say that Demant and Mayuresh ki jodi is something we always talk about, that they complement each other. And that's why it has worked out the way it has worked out. Because there are times when you need someone to step up and someone to take a back seat. And both of them do it in a very nice and amicable manner, and they understand each other and complement each other. Because of which this has been a great success story. Mayuresh is someone who understands situations very well. He can read the room very well. And the way he manages all the legal aspects along with financial is something which, because of which the company is saved. The kind of GST return which came in at the right time and the amount which came in, because of which the company was truly saved at that point in time and truly resulted in saving of the company. So both of them have truly been the pillars of Imagicaa, because of which Imagicaa survived the COVID, survived the NPA, and now we are thriving here with this new journey. I would like to congratulate not only Dhimant and Mayuresh, but their family especially, who stuck with them during the NPA days, COVID days, and tough times without any certainty of future. But the result has been wonderful, and because of their perseverance, passion, and grit, this has become a huge success. And I'm glad they wrote a story out of it, because more and more people need that hope, not only in their business, but in personal life, in different verticals of life. And I'm glad it will reach maximum number of people and the kind of hope they need in each and every point in time. This book gives out that hope. So big congratulations, and wishing you both a very happy next chapter. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Mangalam, Dimant, and Mayuresh to come on board so that we can do a little bit of a fireside chat.
Before that, I would request, and this is out of script as always, I would request Mr. Vishal Kamath to say a few words as well. Vishal, as we all know, is the executive director of Kamath Hotels, and he's been a great well-wisher all along. So before we start the fireside chat, a quick word from Vishal.
I thank both of them. हाँ? पहले तो मैं दिमांत और मयूरेश का मैं बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार करूँगा कि उन्होंने मुझे इसके लायक सोचा. मेरा कोई इतना बड़ा योगदान नहीं जिस तरह से अभी जय भाई ने बात किया. But I think that is again something that defines these two. That every person along the way who has been a part of that journey, even someone who has pointed them in the right direction, they have high regards for, and they don't forget. I think it's not about a strategy as much as it is about their upbringing, which is at the core of their success. This is something which I think deserves a bigger clap than you all are giving, because it's for their parents also. So many people come into our lives, and how many do we remember apart from the one or two heroes, main characters, but the kirdars on the side also make that man a hero. And that's where their team, by the way, my relationship with them is about 9 years plus, okay, around. And first I knew Mayuresh, then I met Dimant. And from that journey onwards, again and again to me, already Jay has capsulated so beautifully all the ups and downs. See, Kamath, by the way, I'm from Kamath Hotels. My father, Dr. Vittal Kamath, my grandfather, Venkatesh Kamath. We are a 95-year-old company. So we've also seen many roller coasters, and unfortunately and fortunately for me, the coaster is still on. So within this ups and downs, which is part of life, what can you take the prerna? And let me tell you, today this book is all the more important than when you are down. Because one of the things this also will tell you is, when you are down, when you will suddenly get up, this thing, that's why I read it today when things are good. One of the major things in life we do is only when we are down, we try to search for a solution. By then, it is too late, because ideally, you can prevent problems. You can prevent a issue if you have already keep reading and keeping yourself updated. Downtime has to come for everyone. But can we delay it? Can we avoid it? Can we overcome it easily? I'd just like to quickly tell you one small example of how sitting with people like them in my own life taught me in my roller coaster. Once my father, my one uncle, and me, three of us, we were sitting in America. I had opened a restaurant and we were having drinks and I was listening to them. And I love to listen to stories. That's also one of the reasons why I'm here. I've heard a lot of their stories and I've seen how they have overcome those stories. So my uncle told me, Vishal, in life, if you want to succeed now, it doesn't matter whether you can do it or not. You must know how to do it. Never should your junior be able to take advantage of you. So he gave me an example of how when he opened one of a restaurant and one of the chefs left him on a Saturday and went because of an ego issue, and my uncle was struggling, but he eventually managed and he was talking at, and I thought, yeah, uncle bhi aisa hota hai, because at the age of 20, I had never experienced anything like that. And we were sitting in America, particularly in San Francisco, San Jose, where we had a lot of restaurants. 2001, I still remember. I was just 20 and suddenly, okay, chalo, forget. Month and a half, 2 months after that, something exactly like that happened to me. Why? Because we had only 4 chefs who we could take from India to America. One of the chefs started throwing a tantrum. And what happened at that time? That time, suddenly my drunk uncle came to my mind. And what I did, I went to the kitchen, I took a bhatura, I made a bhatura. It came out very nice. Now, what happens in Kamath, we give 2 bhatura. So I took the second bhatura, I made it. It was more flat than when I had pressed it. I threw that in the garbage. Then I took a third one. I started doing it. The third one, that kind of came half full, half empty, like kind of bhatura. I threw it because you have to give, as per our Kamath thing, fugela ekdam. By the time I did the fourth one, that chef came, he's like, Saab, mai karta hoon. Why? He realized that I don't need him and I will take the challenges. That is basically what they did. They said, we will not allow Paristhiti to dictate to us, we will take the challenges. And that is why, even though times are good today, you must read this book. So thank you for having me here. I'm really honored. And with that, I hope, by the way, even I have bought my own copy and I have pre-ordered it. I unfortunately have not brought it today. I forgot it. And I will send it for your signature. I know why they're coming. They're coming for the South Indian and the coffee. Okay. But koi baat nahi. Apan bhi khilayega. Dil se, dil se. ठीक है? Thank you everyone. Thank you very much.
So kind of.
Please, Mayuresh, Mangalam, Nimant.
Guys. Is there another mic? One more mic. It's okay. Between them, it's one book, so between them, it's one mic. In any case, both of them can complete each other's sentences. If you don't believe me, read the book. The most important...
Yeah. Signal for me to let him speak more.
No. There is another mic that has come for you as well. I have to tell you one thing before we, start this fireside chat. At any point in time, you go to a roller coaster park, you go to any of these amusement parks, etc., you have a great time. But there are so many people thinking about every little experience that you have out there that if you don't think about these people, you realize that the park has been managed really well. And while all of this happens, the company went through so much. None of y'all would ever know that if y'all didn't know these people. None of y'all would ever know that if y'all didn't invest in Imagicaa or Ad Labs Entertainment, as it was then called, lost some money and then made some money back. But through the period with which these guys went through, it could have been one of the most tough periods for anyone when it came to financial operations of a business. But add to that the complexity and the uncertainty of COVID. Through all of this, trying to ensure that the park was kept very well, people stuck with them, they themselves stuck through with the company, because it's very easy at that point to leave. But both of them were there, and the seriousness with which this matter was handled, without losing your sense of humor and sense of self, was something which was incredible and something that has been captured in this book. I have read every word of this book, and it is no less than a very good Bollywood movie. If you haven't sold the rights to making this into a movie, you must right away. And they are the modern version of the Jane Bidhu Yaro guys, or also, the Jay and Viru. It's incredible the way this book has been written. So I will obviously not talk much about what's inside this, because you have to buy this, read it, get it signed from him, both of them. And right now we'll talk about the situations that they went through and how they navigated through those situations. Well, the first thing that I have to ask both of y'all is, how did you all come together? Because, people become friends for life, and in school, in college, maybe family members, family friends, etc. Office में जो दोस्त बनते हैं ज़रूरी नहीं है यार वो life के लिए रहें. And that was potential CEO and CFO. ये कैसे हुआ? How did that happen?
So first of all, I was never a potential CEO. I always thought, how was I chosen in a circumstances where I did not come from a financial background. I was more a retailer, merchant category. So the first incident that we had was actually more of an altercation. We were trying to pursue a deal, and there I thought Mayuresh was not responding so quickly, and as my reputation goes, I kind of gave him saying that what the hell is happening, and he was at a very precarious situation at that time for which we had no idea. You want to say your part now?
So you started with the fight.
Fight, proper fight.
Perfect.
And Mayuresh is generally not known to be someone who loses temper, or he's the Swami Dada of our company, Shant Admi.
That's exactly what had happened. And, tempers were flying high. And as Dhiman said, at my end, they don't really fly.
What year was this?
This was March of 2017. Okay.
The time was still good. Okay-ish.
The time was a little shaky, but yet we were not an NPA. So time was good in that sense. But yes, there was a transaction which we had spoken about. And Dhiman, was pursuing that transaction. He was believing that the transaction has moved ahead. I was dousing some other fire at that point of time. And one of the things that the book will also say is that a lot of communication, in crisis or in good times, is not as ideal as it should be. So the problems were kept to the finance team or to the select few. So he was not aware of those problems. And when he was, raising the issue about the transaction, what about the other deal? So I was dousing a more critical fire. Now, he didn't get it, and I didn't get it, how critical it was. And that was a big showdown that happened. So that was our first professional interaction at that point of time. Obviously, it would have crossed both of us mind that, yaar, iske sath kaam karna to mushkil hoga. He would have also thought that way. I would have also thought that way. But the ice breaking happened. And you know how it happened? It happened very funnily. You want to narrate that? So there were 3-4 colleagues who were exiting the company incidentally at pretty much the same time. So there was a farewell party to that. And during end of that party, while the party was going on, Dhimant is a teetotaler, and I'm sure you know that, and I'm not. That also most of them may know. So we both started dancing together. And, we both aren't great dancers.
I think we dance as if there was no tomorrow. So wo shadi wale dance steps is what I am famous for. And we were actually dancing as if it was a welcoming party rather than a farewell party.
I don't know what he was high on, but I know what I was high on. But we were dancing together, and that created a kind of a bond which got us into talking terms. And rest is history.
And I just told you that the book sounds like a movie. Doesn't that story sound like a movie as well? You start out with a big fight, and then it's some begana farewell. 4 people. One of them is drinking, the other one is not. And they become friends by dancing. And what kind of friendship where, you run a company through such bad times. Good times, yes, but bad times. And they would not miss a single court hearing. They would not miss a single bank hearing. They would both go together. And the term hunt in pairs came to me when I was reading this book, because both of them brought with each other complementary skills. This guy, coming from his observational background, he would see something and say, yaar, ye khatak raha hai, ye acha nahi hai. This guy is very observant, so mind all the brands that you're wearing on you, because he will look at the brands of the clothing that you have, the shoes that you have, etc., and size you up कि यार ये आदमी सही कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है. So if you are living beyond your means, stay safe from all these guys. So they met a lot of crooks on the way, etc., and using this complementary skill, you try to get out of bad situations. You want to narrate one of them? Where someone was wearing a Montblanc watch.
Yeah. So this was one of the ARCs where we had gone in BKC, and we were talking to the gentleman about the deal transaction, and I saw that he was wearing a Mont Blanc cufflink in the shape of a nib. So I was wondering that how can this gentleman afford this kind of an accessory? And somewhere it gave us a signal that, you know, there is more than what meets the eye. And slowly we kind of discussed saying that where is this conversation going? So this is one such example wherein which I would say, retailers profile customers, right? And that is exactly what I was doing at that point of time.
So that's his skills, right? You know, I really don't know which jacket I'm wearing. To be
Marks
frank.
and Spencer.
Marks and Spencer.
So, to Dimant's credit, that's Dimant who's observing that. And Dimant, you shouldn't be judgmental about people like that, right? So,
That's my job.
yeah.
Let
but,
me judge.
but these are small cues that, you know, we picked up on the way. And sometimes, you know, when at face value you can't make it, but there are some cues that you need to pick up and derive some lessons out of that. So these are small cues that we picked up on the way. And I'm sure most of the times these helped us in a way, you know, preempting certain issues or getting out of issues out in that way.
You know, the other thing I have to ask you, and while you were writing this book, yes, while we were reading this book, one could only imagine all the things that you all went through. But as professionals in a career where there is so much uncertainty, what kept you all going? Because the company, you all were fighting fire every hour, if not every day. And not just any fire. You know, the company got collapsed. There were livelihoods on your name. There was this park which was built with so much passion, and you aren't even the owners. Right? It would have been very easy with the reputation that you guys had professionally to get a very plum job. Why would you then, you know, go to all these government offices, courts, and banks, PSU banks, have endless cups of chai, only to continue to do what you're doing? And what did your families do at that point?
So we saw the park coming up from almost soil, and somewhere we kind of built that connect to the brand and the passion with which it was built. I mean, India's answer to Universal Studio in our own manner. So one thing was the attachment to the brand. Second, we had 1,200 families to support at that point of time. And most of the people, almost 94-95% of our employees are from the local populace. So anything that could disturb that social fabric, we thought could be worse. And we just could not imagine that this asset should go down in this manner without going through a proper fight and an effort. Somewhere we kind of said that we'll be the last man standing, whatever it is. Let's see where it goes. Personally for me, just imagine, Mangalam, I am neither a finance guy nor I handle banks. In fact, the first time I entered the court was after assuming this role. So I thought maybe there is something larger than what I can understand, and thoda IQ kam hota hai na to life अच्छी होती है, because EQ keeps you going. चलते रहना चाहिए. And we got support from a lot of good people who guided us throughout. Ashutosh ji, Venkatesh, Vishal was here. So many people kept on nudging and helping. So I think it just happened.
You had an observation about him that this is what perhaps kept him going.
I didn't tell you that, but
As usual.
I'll tell him now.
Yeah. No. So he's a very determined man, and knowing him, he's come up from the grassroots in life. A lot of colleagues of him for the last 30 years. That tells how old you are. So you've been working for almost 30 years. So I need to clarify that every time, because you don't let that come out through your appearance. So he's come from the shop floor to this level. So he has a kind of, determination. So when he took charge as the CEO of this company, and at that point of time you run into such a big mountain of trouble, deep inside he would have had that I have to cross this, I have to go to the other side or cross the chasm or the other way around. So that's one thing, as a personal challenge as one would take it. That could be one of the factors that I could reckon. For me, I was part of the team that went to 13, 15 banks, raised the money. We made a lot of presentations, pitches to lenders. They knew me by my name personally. And most often than not, promoters don't, visit the lenders. It is the finance guy who does that. So I was the face of the loan for many of the banks.
So, may I just? So, in one of the incidents, one of the lender told him in front of me that, हमने तो आपका शक्ल देख के लोन दिया था. And I have never seen him more frozen than that. I think somewhere it became his moral responsibility to see it through and say that can we have a amicable and a healthy resolution that can, tide the wave essentially. So I think
actually that was a time when there was a certain concept which was getting very popular in the some sections of the corporate haircut. Not the haircut.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. So for there was a feeling that how can I pay the maximum to the lenders which we have borrowed? So that was the endeavor rather than kitna kam mein kaam chalega. Although there was a genuine business problem, but having sat with bankers for so long, there was always a soft side which also said that one need to hold on to these things such that things don't disintegrate. Once you desert this ship at this hour.
It was, it was Vishal who just currently said that it speaks about their upbringing, right? This is nothing better than that as an example of this. He had a grassroots kind of upbringing and he looked at this problem as a challenge, a studious person that he was. He wanted to ensure that he passed this challenge with as many flying colors as possible. And for him, it was more about relationships, the personal guarantee that was unsaid and was built with the lenders that they wanted to avenge. So together they became the Avengers. Having said that, I think it's perfect for me to read my favorite paragraph from this book. You all will obviously get the book, you all will buy it, but my favorite is page number 64, where they were saved from bankruptcy, literal bankruptcy, from the park, going into NCLT and being broken and stripped away of all their assets. Within 5 minutes. They were 5 minutes away from that happening. And how did both of these gentlemen manage that? Let me read that part out to you. It says, our next court date was on 4th of March 2020. Just 1 day away. If the new affidavit was accepted, it would offer strong grounds to the bench to admit Imagicaa into NCLT court. And that would mean the end of our innings. Insolvency proceedings would begin. Despite all the frantic efforts to meet the chairman of one of the lending banks of the second affidavit, we were refused appointments, highly demotivated, expecting the worst, but still hoping for a miracle. The two of us attended the court meeting, thinking that we were nearing the end of this battle. We would lose. The body language of our lawyer suggested so. A stopgap measure, what we had prepared, was another affidavit for the court, which said that there was some confusion between the two bank affidavits which contradicted each other. So we were requesting for some time to clarify the bank's position. Their best bet was basically to delay the proceedings. That was the only strategy that we could go with on that day, and it all depended on the judge. We prayed for a lenient view. The court was packed as usual. Dimant and the lawyers were inside the crowded courtroom, while Mayuresh waited outside in the congested passage. Their junior lawyer just messaged on their WhatsApp group that the matter will start in 5 minutes. Suddenly, a very senior banker, Rajneesh Sarathi, name changed, obviously, from the other lender bank who had also filed for NCLT proceedings against them, strode in, purpose written in every step, and panting a little in the early summer heat. Mayuresh instinctively realized that he had come with no good intentions. There was a merger taking place among the PSU banks, and from 13, the number came down to 10 by the time of the resolution. This application was filed by the bank that merged with the larger bank, such that the application would now come from the larger bank. So it was the tail wagging the dog. Without thinking, Mayuresh quickly walked up and stood in front of Rajneesh. He was a little startled, but stopped out of courtesy. Mayuresh then asked him how he was doing and what brought him here on a very hot day. Searching for more things to ask, he said, "How is your merger going?" He also told him then that our case was delayed and it'll take 15 or 20 more minutes. Initially, Rajneesh was in a rush while answering, then possibly seeing Mayuresh outside the courtroom, he must have thought that the matter was actually delayed. After a couple of minutes, however, he assertively stated that he must enter the courtroom, now strode on like he had a mission to achieve. Meanwhile, in the courtroom, Dhimant briefed Pratik, who thought on his feet. Pratik was the lawyer. He saw an opportunity for the mention and made his argument to the judge about the confusion in the affidavits. After hearing both sides, the judge granted an extension of 1 month. Rajneesh entered the courtroom just as the judge finished dictating the order. To the court reporter, announced that an extension had moved and then moved on to the next matter. Rajneesh turned red in anger and told his lawyer that he had got management directives to get the matter admitted to the NCLT in this session itself. He added that he had come with the sole aim of telling the courts that the second affidavit was the stated position of the bank. His lawyer scoffed and said, "It's important for you then to be here in time. If you had shared this update clearly, I would have pressed it, but the court's decision is already made." So basically, this guy was inside the court, this guy was outside the court, this guy tackled him outside the court, also lied by saying that the next 15-20 minutes the case has been delayed. In the meanwhile, he spoke with the lawyer and ensured that everything just happened. And when Rajneesh entered, the judgment had already been passed. The court gave an extension for 1 month. What this means is that on 4th March 2020, a 1-month extension would mean that the hearing would be on 4th April 2020. But between 4th March 2020 and 4th April 2020, the pandemic happened, the lockdown happened, and more important matters were tended to. So those 5 minutes of quick thinking on both their feet ensured that Imagicaa did not go to the NCLT.
I think all credit to him. I was only doing the messenger's job at the...
He wants to say he was not lying, I was lying.
But then you did not lie inside court, so that's not contempt of court.
To be fair, the banks did not act fair at that point of time. So my 5 minutes turning to 15 minutes is morally justified with me.
Just one final question before... Yeah, you had something to say? There's one final question before we, end this and get people to sign these books and more importantly buy these books, because all the money from this book goes to charity. When you went out to write this book, what is it that you intended to achieve? Because many people write books on how to make your business big. Many people write books on how to help yourself. Many people write all these motivational books. No one writes about the daily court kacheri and things like very valuable tips. One of the most interesting one was, do not refuse a chai at any government or bank office. Otherwise also. Why? Because till such time the chai comes, you're not drinking the chai, you're buying that person's time. Since then I've had like 8-9 cups of chai, but be that as it may. Very valuable, very handy tips. What is it that you were trying to achieve?
So I think everyone's life has some very interesting stories, and there is so much that everyone goes through in some form or the other. But there are stories just don't come out in that manner, and especially when you are in your trough, when you are at your trough and when you're not doing well, those stories or those situations, if you can narrate, I think it can help many more people. And you see world over, there are so many case studies, etc. And India just doesn't have ample number. So we thought that let it be more of an encouragement, and if you can laugh at yourself, and if you can say that, okay, this is what did not work, and if somebody can use that example and make some sense of it, I think our life is made. If a leaf or two out of this book is used by someone, I think that's, that's from my end. Yeah.
I think it was destiny. In fact, as we finished the book, I found an old horoscope of mine. And actually it is written that native may become an author. And I just showed it to Dimant at the very, just as we were, finalizing this. And we got, you get a conviction. There's one book that's coming and I'll become an author. But on the serious side, whatever we have gone through, when we tell people about such incident happened, people don't believe. In fact, 100% of what you'll find inside the book is what has actually happened. There's no, there will be little sugar coating, but there's no masala that we've added here.
And this is only 55 to 60% of, this is not
So
all.
volume 2 is
We have
coming.
more.
So you can read this, and this is exactly what has happened. Just few names have been changed, and that gives a lot of credibility to what has been done. And as Dhiman mentioned, even if somebody in their corporate life or their entrepreneurial life draws a leaf or two out of our learnings and a lot of mistakes we did on the way.
Failures also. A lot of them.
So that's something which we felt which could save a lot of value being eroded in the Indian corporate system or in any company, because there are smaller things. We have not. I'm not the best CFO around, and he is the
Definitely not the.
yeah. So, but what we've done is that we've stood ground, and we hope that it acts as an inspiration to at least a few out there. That's the purpose.
Wonderful. Now we'll open this to...
So before that, I just want to say one thing. I think we two are just there as a coincidence that we are around here and narrating this. But our team back at the park, at the back office, at the head office, etc. I think it was a wonderful articulation and orchestration of how things played out. Some of our business associates, I think Tusharji is here. He stood ground when there was nobody to bail us out for even a single rupee. I think he helped. Ashutoshji. There are so many such wonderful people who stood by that. And I think our relationships I think they saw that the brand and the asset was good. It was clean in every sense. And many people thought it should not go down. I think we were just faces in that sense, but I think there's a much bigger machinery and some of them are here. Our friends stood by, families. I think everyone.
I completely agree with you for the entire experience that you guys have narrated.
I'm not going to create a soap opera scene here. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that was incredible. Some questions? There is one.
Hi. So, I'm just 50 pages down in the book, and even if Melvin is that it's not masala, it's a thorough masala pot. And I don't want to play a spoil sport, but in the first 50 pages, there's an international murder as well.
We were not instrumental in that, by the way.
Now you put us in a spot here.
They would want to play themselves.
I don't have an answer to that.
Dhiman says that I look young enough to play myself. And Mayuresh says, obviously, I will play myself as well.
You got your answer?
So you know what?
It's not a romantic
No.
crisis, huh?
So I have a very different example. It's a Rain Man example. He's Tom Cruise by design. The rest I don't need to mention, right?
First, complete the full book. Yeah, then reserve your comments.
Don't judge a book by the first 50 pages. Any other questions? I believe a lot of the Imagicaa shareholders are here as well. They're asking what's the next target price. No, we're not asking.
There's somebody in front. Yeah. So, and incidentally, he's a shareholder. He was, I think, you came in, and we are really happy that, unintended, but you're here. And it was nice taking a photo
Thank you,
with the
thank you.
shareholders. In fact, in all our annual general meetings, that's something, and you must have seen many annual general meetings. So it's something interacting with all shareholders, irrespective of the quantity that they hold. The largest quantity currently sits here, but even if somebody is holding a smaller number of shares, we always feel obligated to respond to them. And even in the toughest of times, there was, if you see the investor complaints, there were actually nil investor complaints. And our company secretary has done, there have been few company secretaries, but our company secretaries have done a fantastic job in ensuring the compliances, and there is no shareholder grievance, irrespective of what the company crisis that it was going through.
The other thing that really stood out, and I just thought of it when you were saying the shareholder complaints and everyone, one line from the book that stood out is that people give us more opinion on how we should run our business. It's like cricket, where everyone knows more than the other person. What was the more unusual suggestions that you got of how to run the park well?
So, as it goes, nothing is impossible for the one who's not doing it. And I think it wasn't more apt in our situation. And especially when it came to a private equity or some of the learned fraternity, number was a very different game. And they would say that, why don't you put up maybe 5 hoardings on the Bandra Worli ceiling back to back? Your brand will be built, your numbers will come. And many such examples. Some people would come and say that your ticket price should be 5,000, you are selling it cheap. Somebody will say your food is way too sasta, you should increase prices. So we've heard it all. At the end of the day, Mr. Shetty used to very often say that, Dhimant, only you and I don't know the business. The rest everyone else does. So, yeah.
All right. Any other questions? You have a question.
Yes, hi, sir.
So you guys were very great, saving this asset, fantastic asset. And
Sir, it's collective effort. There are gentlemen behind you who have played a big role. Yeah, but sorry with your question. Yeah.
you have seen in last many years, Mangalam also seen that many assets don't go through the same path, and great assets are falling down. So what your learning that what government or regulations or anything which needs to address this, that these assets don't fall that apart?
So I'm not an expert to answer this question, but from whatever little that we have seen, I think one stroke of brush is not the color of everything, right? Second, I think, so one thing that happened which was after we turned defaulters, right? When we were failing to pay our interest. First thing we did was to show our face more often to the banks. We waited for sometimes couple of hours. We would enter office at times at 6:30 in the evening when everybody's leaving. But what it did was, earlier lenders would look at us with suspicion, saying that why have they come, what are they waiting for? But over a period of time, that communication and the dialogue built. Somewhere that trust came up, saying that, okay, there is an intent to solve. And I think first step is that. For our GST tax refunds, I think what support we got from the government bodies is unimaginable. And that too during COVID. We really found, I think, 3 to 4 angels, literally, you can say. And we were pursuant, but they responded. And I don't think I have more suggestions.
No. I think the question is, and it's really a question to ponder, because there is a lot of value erosion that happens. We've seen very large assets which have, fallen by the wayside, and possibly, problems will be different in each case. I'm not saying, as Dhimant mentioned, there is a lot of tendency to generalize, ye bhi problem hai, wo bhi problem hai, and we've heard a lot of generalizations. So Dhimant was mentioning what set us apart, obviously the book would cover that, but we feel that there are small things which could ultimately add up. One is trust, of course. Trust deficit creates problem across. There are a lot of things in the insolvency or any recovery process that seem small at times, but they are very important. We've covered a chapter on valuations. How valuations play a role. And in public sector system or in the banking system, the valuations, it's very important for them to assess what's actually the valuation that an investor is going to pay. And you stick to some unrealistic valuations and the matter drags in for 5-10 years, we are seeing assets getting stuck. If you just take the present value of that number, had they accepted that value in the first instance, it's ultimately public loss, because most of them were public sector lenders and that money got stuck in the system. Had the resolutions happened in time, decisions taken in time, I think it's only that time sometimes the value of the assets also deteriorate, and therefore all stakeholders lose. And in our case, unfortunately, COVID came, that 2 years went by, but possibly, while it took 4-5 years, but we ensured that the asset doesn't deteriorate. That's where
Maybe one more thing is that uh, once a case is identified okay from the forensic angle, I think the treatment should be different as compared to the ones who have failed in forensic. I think that differentiation could be one of the learnings maybe. Yeah.
All right, that for another time. Do we have time for one last question?
I would just like to add that basically the backbone of all this is their family.
100%. 100%. A huge round of applause for their family.
Because I know what we have undergone. So hats off.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I saw one question pop up. I think we can take
One. How difficult is it for an existing promoter to part with his asset? Yes, there was a lot of passion with which.
I play a lot of cricket, and there are some balls which are best left outside the off stump. But indeed, on the serious side, it's really very difficult for somebody who's put his heart, soul, capital, So, its cases will be different all over. But trust me, and we've seen in our case, I will not be in a position to comment with that. For somebody, who's really spent his time post age of 60 into creating a world-class asset and then parting, it becomes really, really difficult. And I really don't have an
It is
answer for
almost
that.
like losing a baby, very frankly. And so Mr. Shetty had one wonderful theory. And his theory said minus is greater than plus. He said that I may build a park, maybe which is 5 notches below any international standard park, but I will not build a park which is 2 notches above the current, as in the parks in our landscape. And I think what he created or what he envisioned is something we all subscribe to. So for him, I think the best person to answer that question is him and not me, but I'm sure it would have been very, very difficult. So, but he very graciously did it. So that one can put it on records. Yeah.
All right. So, all the other questions, yeah, please.
No, for that, lot of credit goes to Jay and the family. I think for us, it never felt that it was an acquisition. It was almost a merger. So, हमारे लिए तो एक. So, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Thanks everyone.
Everything else is in part 2. By part 1 for now.
Thank you, Mangalam. Thank you for doing this.
All right, guys, just queue up. Signing will be done here only. Just queue up.